The movie begins 65 million years ago on prehistoric Earth. An asteroid nearly hits the planet as the dinosaurs graze on its land. Another million years later, in a farmhouse, a family of Apatosaurus prepares for the upcoming winter. They start to cultivate the fields, spread out corn seeds, and sprinkle water on their growing crops. Just as the corn start to grow, the mother Apatosaurus Ida calls for his husband, Henry. Inside the barn, their eggs of different sizes line up on a bunch of hay. They are going to be parents. The first one from the smallest egg pops out and they call her Libby. The next one is from the middle egg, whom they call Buck. Lastly, the biggest egg breaks open, and a small, scared baby Apatosaurus appears. They call him Arlo. Days pass by and the crops grow big enough, and so do the hatchlings. Arlo grows to be a timid dinosaur with a huge fear of everything, including chickens. However, his role on their farm is to feed the chickens. When the family finish the silo they use to store their food to survive the winter, Ida urges Henry to put his mark on it, which is a sign of doing something bigger than themselves. Henry insists his wife does it first. Using the mud, Ida and Henry then place their footprints on the rocks of the silo. Libby, Buck, and Arlo dip their feet in the mud to put their mark on the silo, but Henry tells them that the mark should be earned first, by proving themselves. After some time, Buck and Libby earn their mark, but Arlo hasn't. He is still trying to figure his way out of his fear of chickens. One day, he decides to face his fear and bravely enters the pen. But he sees Buck lying on the ground pretending to be attacked by the chickens. Arlo gets startled as he sees the chicken towering over him. Buck stands and laughs at Arlo for being a coward. He blames Arlo for ruining everyone's chores because of his fear. Just then, the rest of the family arrives and Arlo expresses his frustrations about the mark. Arlo leaves weakly spirited. Henry comes up with a plan and wakes Arlo up in the middle of the night. He brings Arlo to a field of fireflies to Arlo's delight. The two sit down on the field as they gaze into the night sky. Henry tells Arlo he will get a new job to earn his mark. The next morning, Henry informs Arlo of his new task, to catch the critter that's been stealing their food for the winter. They set up a trap and Arlo intently guards the silo. Suddenly, the trap falls over and Arlo sees a feral human child inside the net. It screeches and tries to bite into the net as Arlo is about to hit it with a log. The child slowly gets unconscious and Arlo eventually sets it free. The child gets away when Henry appears. They chase it down along the river heading into a heavy storm. Arlo cannot focus as the fear of going too far from home and the storm holds onto him tight. Henry orders Arlo to keep up, but he immediately snaps out of his anger when he sees Arlo struggling to stand up. Henry decides to go back, but a sudden flash flood sweeps him away. It went black. A tomb has been made for Henry beside the cornfields. Without Henry, the family struggles to keep up with their harvest before the winter. As Arlo stores their harvest in the silo, he discovers that the child comes back and is eating their harvest again. Fueled with vengeance for his father's passing, Arlo chases after it and ends up falling into the river. He calls for help but no one can hear him. The rapids instantly swallow him and a boulder knocks him unconscious as he drifts away. Arlo wakes up in a shallow part of the river miles away from home. His body is covered with bruises. He tries to stand up and walks to the shore. He then realizes he's alone and calls for his mother. Suddenly, he hears a howl and the child appears on the cliff. Arlo rages as he tries to climb but finds the child nowhere when he reaches the top. He then walks to the top of a mountain and realizes he is so far from home. He then remembers what his father told him, the river will lead him home. Arlo starts to walk along the river but later grows hungry. He tries picking up wild berries but the tree is so tall he cannot reach them. The rocks he stands on then roll downward which causes his feet to get stuck between the rocks. Unable to break free, Arlo falls asleep. The next morning, Arlo finds his feet unstuck from the rocks. The soil has been dug up. He sees little footprints and handprints on the soil. The child continues to follow Arlo and offers him food. The two finally share a bond when the child protects Arlo from a venomous snake-like reptile and names him Spot. They go on the adventure together doing silly things like playing with the shrews. Arlo also learns how to swim by watching Spot do it. One night, Arlo finds themselves in the middle of a firefly field. He does exactly what his father did and shows it to Spot. They chase the firefly into a cave where they settle in for the night. There, Arlo gazes up at the sky and says how he misses his family. He then sets up sticks of different sizes resembling his family and draws a circle around them to show Spot what a family looks like. In response, Spot sets up his own family of 3, but later knocks down the other 2 sticks and buries it on the sand. Arlo figures out that Spot also lost his family. He knocks down the stick resembling his dad and buries it as well. Spot comforts him and the two howl in remembrance of the loved ones they lost. The following day, they come across a storm and Arlo gets taken over by his fear when he lost his father. He frantically runs deep into the forest to seek shelter. When the storm ceases, Spot wakes him up, but Arlo realizes he has lost sight of the river. Arlo calls for help on the flock of pterosaurs flying above them. The flock flies down and the leader asks the rest to search for survivors. The leader introduces himself as Thunderclap, who claims to know a way to Clawtooth Mountain. However, they turn out to be predators going after Spot. Arlo runs and Spot clings to his back as they try to evade the pterosaurs. They come across a family of tyrannosaurs who fend off the pterosaurs and save them. The tyrannosaurs are Nash and Ramsey, who wrestles their argument out. A moment later, their dad, Butch, arrives. Arlo tries to ask for help and Ramsey suggests Arlo come along as they are heading south to a watering hole. Someone there might provide the help Arlo needed. However, Butch disagrees and says they still need to round up the Longhorns. Arlo offers some help by making Spot sniff toward the direction of the Longhorns. Spot eventually leads them to the herd, but they have one problem. The herd is being guarded by the rustlers. Butch orders Arlo to go on a rock and act as bait in order to ambush the rustlers. Arlo, who is terrified, reluctantly obeys. Spot accompanies him. When they reach the rock, Arlo tries to scream, but nothing comes out of his mouth due to a terrible fear. To make him scream, Spot bites into his feet and the rustlers come rushing toward them in all directions. When one of the rustlers is about to eat Arlo, Butch, Ramsey, and Nash appear and confront the rustlers. In the ensuing fight, the herd gets disturbed and the Longhorns flee. The rustlers manage to overpower Butch, but Arlo charges and bumps them off of Butch. Butch grabs them and hurls them away. The rest of the rustlers follow and they then drive off the herd away. Later that night, they set up a campfire where Butch gives Arlo a piece of advice. It doesn't matter if he's scared while giving a fight, but he should not let it stop him from doing what he needs to. The next day, they set off to the watering hole. While on their way, Arlo sees Clawtooth Mountain. He bids goodbye and gives thanks to the tyrannosaurs before heading back home. On their way, they meet an old man. Arlo picks up Spot as he tries to get closer to the man and continues on their trail. Just as they are about to get closer to Clawtooth Mountain, Arlo gets scared of an impending storm. Above them are the pterosaurs flying around in circles like sharks, which later snatch Spot away. Arlo tries to pull Spot from the pterosaur's claw but falls off a cliff and gets tangled up in the vines down below. A rock falls on his head as he tries to break free. Arlo later sees his father freeing him and greets him happily. His father then guides him away from the vines and away from Clawtooth Mountain. Arlo tries to tell him that he needs to save Spot, but his father continues to walk away. He stops and realizes that his father is long gone when he sees there are no footprints from his father in the mud. He tells his father that he doesn't blame Spot for what happened and he wants to save his friend. Henry then looks back and says how his son is just like him, but more. Henry disappears and Arlo wakes up. He frees himself from the vines and races off to save Spot. Arlo howls as he runs, calling for Spot, who later answers. He finds Spot inside a tree trunk beside the river getting attacked by the pterosaurs. He bumps one of them into the river, but the two grab him with their claws and take him away from Spot. He sees the nearby tree and swings his tail, cutting off the tree. It fell on the two pterosaurs and sends them into the river. Before Thunderclap can eat Spot, Arlo lets out a roar that startles him. Spot then bites into his wings, preventing him to fly properly. Arlo throws a log and directly hits Thunderclap, who falls into the river as well. Just then, a mudslide and flash flood rapidly approach and Arlo's fears come rushing on him once again. But he did not let it get his way and throws himself in front of the tree bark before the flash flood hits Spot. He manages to grab Spot with his neck just before they go into a waterfall. Arlo emerges from the water with Spot and settles beside the river as they both regain their strength. On their way home, a family of humans appears. Spot approaches them and they greet him like their own. Arlo realizes that this is the family that Spot needs. When Spot runs to him, he pushes Spot back to the family and draws a circle around them, which makes Spot understand what he means. Spot rushes to him for a hug as their tears fall. Before actually leaving, Spot howls as a final goodbye for his friend, which Arlo replies also with a howl. As Spot disappears with his new family, Arlo makes his way toward their farm back to his own family. Ida sees someone approaching and originally thinks it was Henry. When Ida realizes it was Arlo, she immediately stands up and runs to greet him. Buck and Libby follow. They gather in front of the silo and Arlo finally makes his mark on a rock beside his father, Henry.